Hello, Commonwealth. How are you guys? Welcome to day one of Bethesda Game Days here at Laugh Boston and MJ O'Connor's. We want to thank all of you for coming out. We're about to start our first panel of the day featuring the Fallout 76 team. Before we do that, just a little announcement. We are doing a raffle at the end of this panel for a Fallout 76 Xbox One X. If you haven't entered already, the entry field is over there. Once you've entered, you have to re-enter for any raffles after this one because we cleared out. So from that, I'm going to cue a video, and we're good to go. Thanks, guys.
Xbox One X, get Fallout 76.
Is my mic on? Okay. Yep, that's confirmed. Hi.
Good day.
Good stuff. Welcome to our Fallout 76 panel here at Bethesda Game Days. And hi to everyone here. Hi to everybody that is watching on our stream. To echo what Matt said, we do have a raffle before we get started, so you can enter to win this fancy Tricentennial Edition Xbox One X. But to make this easier on everybody, I figured we could just introduce ourselves going down the line, starting with you.
Hi, I'm Ferret Baudoin. I'm the lead designer on Fallout 76. I've been in the games industry over 2 decades. I'm coming up, I think, on my 7th year at Bethesda. So, yeah. It has been a wild ride working with people like it.
I am Todd Howard. I am the executive producer on Fallout 76, and I am in my 25th year at Bethesda, but who's counting?
Elder Scrolls is counting.
Elder Scrolls is counting. That's after this.
I am Jessica Finster. I am the senior community manager for Bethesda. Yeah! I have not been making games for 7 years at Bethesda, but I have been working at Bethesda for that long.
Hi, I'm Sean Baptiste, influencer manager for Bethesda, a whole year now.
Woo! You baby.
I'm Nate Purkeypile. I've been making games for about 15 years, and about 12 of those have been at Bethesda.
And I'm Chris Meyer. I'm a development director over at Bethesda Game Studios Austin. I've been making games, I guess, for about 21 years now, but it's 5 or so here at Bethesda.
All right. That's good. That's great. So I think probably to start off, just in case, in the small chance that there's anybody here in the audience or at home who doesn't know what Fallout 76 is, can we contextualize that a little bit, you guys?
Is that for me?
Yeah, I'm throwing it over to you.
Fallout
speak at once.
76 is the 76th version of Fallout. It is an online survival open world multiplayer role-playing game.
Sounds good. So, came out November of last year. So let's take it back a little bit to launch, and maybe talk a little bit about what it was like to launch this game in the first 100 days or so of the roadmap.
It was interesting.
I mean,
We've had some time. We've had a thing.
that's a good way to start
Yeah,
out.
go ahead, Chris.
Interesting, right? I got to first say hats off to the back-end team. We had zero unplanned downtime, which in my 20 years of online game experience is pretty unheard of. So they've done a great job. Now, as far as the game goes, we've had some ups and downs. I think interesting is a great way to describe it. Fortunately, we've got a great community. And our live ops team has been very good about working with the community, finding out what issues you guys care most about. And we've been working really hard to surface those issues and get them out as quickly as possible, patching them, I think, very, very quickly into the game.
Yeah, for us, 76, I think most of our fans who are here, they know is a very, very new thing. For our studio, we knew that we were going to have a lot of bumps coming out with the game, and we definitely had some. Some of them were much harder than we anticipated. And this was a very new and different project for us. We're still doing other things that are more, I would call them traditional Bethesda games. But this one, to be honest, we had a lot of difficulties during development. And sometimes those difficulties do show up on the screen. You never want them to. We grew the studio. We're in 4 different studios now in North America. The one in Rockville we've had, in Austin, in Dallas, and in Montreal. And this was a game that really took a ton of people across those 4 studios coming together to make work. And we knew launch was just going to be the beginning. And so we're really excited that the game actually did very, very well. We have a huge, millions of players, great player base in this game, giving us tons of feedback. And more so, we feel that our goal is to build kind of a Fallout platform. Even we don't know everything it will become. We have tons of ideas that we're happy to answer and share here today. But it's been a kind of wild journey so far. But we're excited where it's at. There's a lot of cool content coming.
And how often are you, as the team, incorporating the community's feedback as they go forth with patches and updates?
Feels like hourly.
All the time, yeah. Feels like it. We do
excessive
meet every
perhaps.
day just to discuss the top issues that get surfaced to the team. And admittedly, I mean, those are our top priority issues. We really want to address the things that the community cares about. So we work very hard when possible. Sometimes it's not technically feasible, or sometimes it doesn't quite work in the game. But when possible, we really do try to get the things the community cares most about front and center.
So it's easy to say you guys are all lurking on Reddit and the forums and Twitter and
Oh, yeah.
all your social platforms.
Yeah, we're on Reddit a lot. And sometimes the adjectives used hide the actual point they're making. But that's understandable, right? It's very understandable. But we do put a lot of thought into, okay, through this, what is the actual issue? What do people want? It's not just Reddit, it's our own forums, it's emails, it's everything. Because it's an online game, we have a ton of data. So we can see what everybody's doing. Hey, what do they like? Where are they having issues? When do they stop playing? Why? All of that together. And we feel like even though we're doing so much, there's so much more that we want to do and can do with this game. It's pretty encouraging.
That's great. Actually, I think with that, how many patches? We put out a lot of upgrading the game since November.
I think it's 7.5 now.
Yeah.
We've had 7, I guess, major numbered patches. We've had a couple of half patches here and there. We've had to put some things in to address issues that either we caused or that players found that we didn't know about. That's, I guess, the charm of an online game is that players will find all kinds of things you never knew about during development.
What is it without surprises?
Yeah. It makes the job interesting, keeps you on your toes, right? Yeah. So no, it's good. So we've had 7 official patches, and we've had numerous half patches here and there.
And we know that the players are very good at providing their feedback in many forms, but there's also a lot of stories that we see and screenshots being shared across all of those platforms. do you guys have any favorite stories that you've enjoyed or things that you've seen coming out of the game?
I think one of my favorite stories was who knew that launching nukes was going to be such a social experience? But it is. It brings everybody out of the woodworks. And so, nuking the White Spring as you do, and just sort of hanging out over there next to the golf club as like hordes of glowing ones come out, and then just chatting with people. And it was really hilarious because I was there, and then people were having a good time and such. And then some people were talking about an exploit and trying to teach one of the other guys there. And I'm there, like right there, and I'm like, could you repeat that a little louder? And what was your gamer tag? Out of curiosity, I didn't, but it was very amusing. Also, just some of the stuff that people do with camps. There was this one camp where they built it around a random encounter node, so like enemies were going to spawn up. They built this like murder box, right? Like with these huge walls and turrets everywhere, and then the poor things would spawn every now and then just like be like rain of missiles just decimating them, and it was just like, all right, right on. I was trying to figure a way to start a marsupial jump in there, but I couldn't do it. They did a good job protecting it.
My favorite is the guy that does like the murder church and the Deathclaw maze, because it's just so creative, because some people will just troll people and smash their camp, but this guy gives this awesome experience, and these people like willingly walk in there, like, you're okay.
I think I just saw that he made a Brahmin toss recently, and that's like the newest one.
Oh, I saw that. Wow. The Brahmin tosser is great. That's great. One of my favorites, we were just discussing in the office the other day. We had just launched survival mode. And already some great stories are coming out of it. But my favorite so far is, I guess this one group was trying to dislodge the number one, I guess, kept alive player on the server. And he had holed himself up in his camp, and they couldn't dislodge him. Like, they kept going after him, couldn't get him out. So what would a creative Fallout player do? They're going to go nuke him, right? So they go down to the silo, and some other group had the same idea. So these two groups were fighting for control of the silo so that they could have the honor of bumping this guy off with it. That's great.
And I think with all that stuff, for us, it's no matter how much content we make, the best content are the ones that the players can do. The more agency and tools we can give them where they can role play and do those things, and that's where kind of the magic is in games like this. My favorite is this group that they have a thing on Reddit where they all dress as cops, and they go around role-playing cops in the wasteland and, dealing with people, and they busted into the basement where this guy was with shotguns, and it's great stuff.
Adds that level of realism.
I suppose.
So obviously there's been a lot of content going into the game. Currently we're inside of Wild Appalachia. Can you talk a little bit about where that came from? What's been going into the game so far, and how it's made? The Fosnacht, for instance, being the coolest thing ever. Let's be honest.
I'm going to let these guys talk about Fosnacht, but one of the coolest things for me, it was just spontaneously watching all the players that do the event, and they all gather together without fail at the very end and put on their masks and take a picture. That's just great. I never even saw that coming, I guess, but that's awesome. I love that. But go ahead, Fosnacht.
Well, the Fosnacht thing, we wanted that there from the early days. Like our first research trip for 76, we went and visited Helvetia, and the general store has all these masks up, and I was like, I really want to put that in the game. So right away I was like, I'm going to put 10 masks on the art list because I can do that, and worth it.
How many of those masks were inspired by like the real masks? Because I know that we saw a lot of people confused that like, why does this mask look this way? This is terrifying, or this is hideous, or this is really interesting.
I think some have a few similarities to ones that we've seen, but really it's just a bunch of individuals making their own terrifying masks.
We were searching on eBay, looking at seeing if we could get some masks, and some of them are really horrifying.
It's like
really
things
get
of your
your
nightmares.
dreams.
Yeah,
Make it
Purkey,
out of
I want to
wood.
personally thank you for making my nightmares even worse, because the number of times I'm being stalked by people with these before it was a once in a blue moon thing. Now it happens all the friggin' time. I'll turn around the
In
corner.
the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the game.
game. That's what I meant, Todd. Now I'm even scared.
I mean, in the office, someone did make one of them for real. So that was kind of a terrifying happy hour. You just look over and it's like, you're not supposed to be here.
We had the cake contest, and someone made one for the cake contest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, at least that's probably not going to kill you. It's a cake.
That's how it sneaks in.
Do you have a
least
favorite
expect
mask
it.
of the ones that you created?
I think that one is actually my favorite because it's the one that's the white mask with the big nose, and that's shipped in the base game. It's just called the Fashnak mask. But around the office, everyone calls him Marv. And we have this photo mode channel where everyone posts screenshots. But it's like this Where's Waldo thing. You're like, that's a beautiful forest. There's that creepy mask again.
You mentioned survival mode. Survival mode launched this past week. Why did we want to do a survival mode?
That's a good one where we debated during development quite a bit how to handle PvP and griefers, and there was a lot of contention. Do we have separate servers for the PvE and the PvP? And we tried, well, let's see if we can put it together. We did a lot of things to make sure that someone who was really a heavy griefer wasn't going to cause someone who didn't want to deal with that have a bad time. And we were, I would say, mostly successful with that. But we had a lot of feedback where the people who enjoy PvP in these survival games, there's a lot of drama in that. So we said, okay, let's make that its own mode. It's in beta right now, and it's a ton of fun if you're into that stuff. And if you're not, so now we're kind of separating that gameplay where in adventure mode, you don't do any damage anymore out of the gate. You both have to agree to do it. And so far, so good. We've had great interaction with survival mode. If you go on Twitch, it's just a hoot to watch people do it, but it is a very different game where the risks are higher and the rewards are higher. So it's something we're kind of, this is a beta of it. We're going to iterate on it with the community's feedback and see where it goes.
That's great. What would be some of the best ways for the community to give feedback on this mode so it can continue to grow and evolve?
Probably Reddit. I mean, Jess could say she deals with that a lot. Probably Reddit is the best place because there's a great community there. There are moderators there, and our folks are in there. But there's a number of ways. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say Reddit in the forum. Answering a question, yeah.
Or just speak randomly at White Spring. Apparently, I hang out there a lot.
Well, there you go. Come up to us. It's fine. It's fine.
Some people send letters.
Yeah,
Some
we
of
do
those
get
are very-
letters
Some
from
of those
time
are very
to time.
creative. I got a box of bobby pins the other week that said weigh these. So whoever sent that was the most creative letter I got.
What did we change in adventure mode or in the base game to factor in survival mode to make it more from a level design standpoint, Ferret?
What we did, I think, is like when we launched the game, we weren't really sure, like toxicity, griefing, they were things we were very concerned about. And it turns out that our community is just super, super nice, which is kind of a weird problem to have. But just this amount of people just doing nice stuff. So it's like as soon as we make a survival mode, it's like, okay, cool. People that like the conflict, that like that sort of constant threat, this is your home, right? You can go over there, have a good time in your home. It also allows us to be even more friendly to the people that are like more like, I don't know, Care Bears. Like, I'm a Care Bear, so I don't mind just saying that term. I own it. But it makes it so that we can make it towards like, hey, slap damage, where you can get sort of just minimal damage before you've engaged in PvP. We're taking that out because that way it's like, no, there's a mode to where someone's just going to be able to kill you fast, and if that's the sort of thing that you get your thrills on, great, it's right there. The rest of us people, we can be over here, and we can feel safer over there as well. So that's one of the big things we're doing.
Yeah, and I think we've even seen that, like in the first week, just how friendly people have gotten on the adventure mode, like really making a lot of friends. They've got
Paranoid
really-
about it.
yeah.
Like a lot of our decisions were like we'd be designing things, and first and foremost was, okay, how is somebody else just going to ruin the experience for everybody else, right? And just thinking about like, okay, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. And at a certain point, we're just like, just do it, just put it in. We'll see what happens. If there's problems, we'll deal with it, right? And then, lo and behold, a lot of times there's just no problem. It's just like, dude, do you know if you just went there, everybody's screwed, and then nobody would do it? And so we're like, cool.
We did have a section of our QA staff. Their task was to be online asshole, like big griefers. And every round you would see them come in and just it was.
That was a miserable play test. I remember that
Yeah,
one.
it was
Oh, yeah.
miserable,
Yeah, those playtest notes we get after that. They're like, they were trolling me so hard. Like, that was the point.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips from your internal playtests of how to be successful in survival mode?
Oh, chameleon armor is amazing because they don't see you. So
Team up. It's the number one thing. You know, being in a group in survival, you realize then that and that's something we're trying to do is how do we get more players to group up as opposed to playing, by themselves. So in survival mode, going by yourself, it's a lot harder. Yeah, definitely, obviously.
And apparently you use nukes.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the end result, right? Like, if all else fails.
Yeah, don't take all your aid with you. So you
Yes.
drop a certain
Yeah.
amount of aid. Some people are used to like, oh, that's really punitive. But it's meant to be that when you're going on a survival run, that you take the aid that you think you're going to need for that until you lose your life. And so I think people aren't quite in that loop. It's something we're going to still iterate on, how much aid you drop and other rules, fast travel, spawning, things like that.
And if you're high level, buy a lot of stuff before you go there, because otherwise you're going to lose a ton of caps. I'm still actually trying to figure out I have a cool shopping trip because I hoard caps, and now I'm like just spending like mad. It's like, ooh, I want that jetpack. Ooh, I want that, and so I'm just buying it all out. So if I'm close to 0 and I die, they're not going to get like 200 caps from me. They'll instead get like 20.
The other thing with survival is it's our first. This beta is the easiest way we can get it out there. You can bring your character between modes, but we also have ideas for this could be a seasons thing where you'd have a survival season where you have to create a new character. It lasts a month. It allows us to kind of mess with the rules while keeping the regular player base and those characters without messing them up. So we have a ton of ideas there we hope to see through.
Awesome.
That's great. So as with this being a constantly evolving mode and building on it and everything, have you been seeing a bunch of stuff this first week that have really brought some new ideas to the table?
Mostly the stuff we talked about, the community's already saying. Why is it the same character? Because, a lot of people do want to do that. It's also the easiest. It's the easiest way to get it in and get it out there and have people react to it.
I think it's also a good way for us to find all the ways that people can horribly break it with all the builds that they have, because you can see the most extreme things with all these legendary armor perks combined while chugging a beer with low health. And then you're like, oh. And then we can fix that instead of waiting 3 months for everyone to get all that gear in that mode and then do that.
Of course.
I'm sure as part of the surprise is seeing like, oh, I didn't even think that was a combination, since there's so many variables that you can't really control or test it.
There's so many
exhaustive.
variables. Yeah, I think it's good for us to embrace this mode of ituration, right? Let's just get things out there. Let's try them out. Let's see how people play them, and then we'll make adjustments. And I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to talk a little bit about what's coming?
Yeah, can we get the roadmap up here? I tried pressing my clicker and it wasn't working.
All right.
Next one. There we go.
There it is.
We
All
released
right.
this roadmap, was it March? February?
Early March, I think?
Yeah,
Late-
sometime
yeah.
around there. This is
Few
kind of
weeks
giving
ago.
our 2019 roadmap. So what do we want to dive into?
Do you want to talk a little bit about what's next in Wild Appalachia? A little bit? Some of the things we've talked about a little bit
we shared
there?
our Inside the Vault on Sheer Terror this past week.
Right, so Sheer Terror, Chris could talk about that some, but we have multiple quest lines coming up from Sheer Terror, ever upwards. And the cool thing about this, usually we do a DLC and put it out and people finish it in 3 days or whatever, even though we spend 6 months on it. And then what's cool about Wild Appalachia and doing something like this with 76 is that we can put that content out over a 3-month period where there's something new really every week, both in rewards in the game and new activities. So the ones that are big are the quest lines. We're really excited about player vending stuff that is coming. That's going to make, the camp has been very, very popular where we can make the camp a lot more important to people's gameplay loop and when they run across someone else's camp. So
My mind is busy remembering what are we not wanting to spoil right now.
Yeah.
There are a few cool surprises that are coming out, so I don't want to talk about those. But I think the things we have announced, we talk about the legendary vendor, which gives people a way to finally, scrap their legendaries and go for some of the things that they want to go for. The player vending and the decoration mode for camps. Looking forward to that. It really will allow people to really personalize their camps more, turn them more into more of a social hub with the player vending, so people will come to you. And I guess if you're not playing survival mode, then actually buy things from you. If you are playing survival mode, then it's a good chance to kill people, and that's good. Yeah, 2 new dungeons and things I don't want to spoil, so I think I'll stop there.
I think backpacks is one of the things
Oh,
I'm
yes.
looking forward to.
Yeah, backpacks.
Good way to.
Yeah, backpacks.
I think that's going to be really popular in here.
Todd knows that's one of my pet projects that I've wanted for a long time because I have this fantasy of being basically a forest hobo. So
But what about in game? Sorry.
Berkey's both. He's quite the camper.
He's really very good, yeah.
Yeah, the backpack stuff is great. That's part of the Pioneer Scouts quest line that I think is probably one of the best ones that's been done for the game. It's really, really great. A lot of cool activities there. We also have the vault raids coming, but that is in the summer. And that, so people know, is designed for 4 players. It's a group activity, and we're working on it, but those are going to be instanced. So we are building the instancing tech, which we haven't had before, because doing a vault raid where everyone had to queue up, like, it just sucked. You're just like waiting to do the vault raid. So we had to re-architecture some of that. So they're really, really cool activities. Obviously, Nuclear Winter, which is a new mode that is coming this summer that I definitely am not allowed to talk about yet. And then Wastelanders, which is a huge update, new main quest, and I am definitely not allowed to talk about that. But I would say it's gonna change the game dramatically. But between now and then, we have a lot of stuff, and really kind of something for everybody. We have a lot of different kind of players. People that want to play in a group, people that want to play solo, people want PvP, people want PvE. And we hope to deliver really on something for everybody.
And some of the things that we had shared for WAD Appalachia was around the high-level dungeons that we have coming. Ferret, do you have more information, or Chris?
Yes, the cool thing is that like basically our level designers are super talented. You give your level designers a lot of time, they will come up with some stuff that will knock your socks off. I don't think I can go into specifics, but I think one of the dungeons they did is one of the favorites that I've ever seen. It is just really amazing. And so the neat thing is it also adds just one more cool thing you can do, right? Like I think once people really fully internalize in our game that like, hey, everything you see, you get. Plus everything else that we're doing is just going to be layered upon layered on there. So it's like, cool, these dungeons are now there. The vault raids, for example, it's something that you can now do, like, and you could add it to your daily like to-do list, basically. And it just makes it so that hopefully there's going to be something for everybody. That something on the schedule is, because our audience is wildly different in the things that they like. But there's something here that hopefully is like, oh, I can't wait for that. And so the dungeons are definitely part of that, because some people just like going into one of our dungeons, just sucking up the lore, getting your pants scared off of you by something doing a jump scare behind you. That's part of the Fallout experience.
All right.
Yeah, nothing to add. That is one of the most visually appealing Fallout dungeons I've ever seen. So I can't wait to let it go out there.
It's in the trailer, so you can say what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
It is the Arctos lab.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
you
really
say
good.
it.
It's the Arctos lab. And
Yeah,
it's
say
got
it back.
all- hats off to those designers that put that together. That's amazing. It's a great dungeon, and it's fun. It's fun to do. I definitely recommend going with friends. It's pretty hard, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
I feel like you kind of addressed it a little bit, but can we talk a little bit about ways that we're addressing the end game and people's concerns about end game in Fallout 76 and giving them more stuff to do at that point?
Well, there's still some stability issues in the end game for certain people that we are fixing. So those of you who are experiencing those, we're aware there's a few left, cleaning them up, because that's where you get all the crazy at once happening. But also people have a lot of legendaries. So the legendary vendor, we're going to have a new token system. I don't know how much we've talked about this yet on Inside the Vault, to be honest, but there will be...
we've gotten into it too much
Okay.
yet.
Well, I don't want to spoil it too much, but to say that we know that the loop of getting legendaries and people wanting the better legendary and getting the one they want, we're solving that loop, okay, where you can cash them in with this vendor, get these tokens, and then basically somewhat customize and roll for the legendary that you want. So that will be a really good new endgame loop for the people who have played a lot and are going into survival or going back to adventure with those characters. The other thing is in survival, and this is in this week, there are special survival challenge And if you do that, you get a unique legendary weapon that you can only get that week in survival. And that's something that we hope to expand upon as well.
So keep providing feedback, for sure.
Absolutely.
With the success of Fashnacht being so well received, are there plans for future like seasonal events?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't say there's any specific plans we have yet, but that was an experiment to sort of see how the community received this kind of seasonal limited time event. So we'll be doing more of that. It was very well received, and we want more.
It was also like the most players in any one spot that I've ever seen. Like the Scorchbeast Queen might be the other highest that I've seen, but in this case, there's a lower bar. Like anyone can go to Helvetia, so it's nice to not have to like go there with 3,000 rounds to do this thing.
Yeah, it was actually I was looking at the trailer and just thinking like when the Mega Sloth shows up and that it lasts like more than 3 seconds, it's like, oh, that's not real. There are 17 people that are camping that thing, and good luck trying to hit it before it dies.
I feel so bad for it.
I don't know. It's the Super Mutants that will make that event for me. I just love that part of it.
The Suiciders?
Yeah, the Suiciders.
They're terrible and
I think
wonderful.
importantly for us, that was something that we wanted to do. We have events in the game, but not everybody... people don't engage with them with the amount that we wanted. So let's have a timed event where people can get together. It's well themed, and obviously it was hugely popular. So our plan is to do more of those that come out. This is a special weekly thing, and that you're seeing a lot of other players together.
I do remember, though, when the Fashnacht event first happened, I think one of the first posts on Reddit was about how somebody just waited for everybody to get right into town and start doing the event together, and then they nuked it. And it's just like,
And we were worried about that in testing. We're like, that's the thing with this game. You can come up with any idea, and then one designer in the room goes, yeah, what if I nuke it? I'm like, well, it's part of the game. Let's see what happens. And that worked out, actually. So,
is there anything the community's done that's caught you completely off guard? You're just like had no idea that was something that the game could even do?
That the game could even do. Like I mentioned, the Fosnacht photo ops did catch me by surprise. I will say some of the other designers in the office knew that was going to happen, but I didn't know it was going to happen to the same extent that it did. I'm trying to think, though, something that I didn't think the game could do. Well, launching the cow, because we didn't implement any sort of physics like that, but I guess since the mob is an actor, I'm rambling now, I'm sorry, but I'm still trying to figure out how the cow launcher even worked. So that would be one.
We'll have to go back and research it.
I saw one that was pretty impressive where someone stacked various legendary armor mods to reduce falling damage and then got on top of that giant monorail elevator, no power armor, just jumped. And I was like, and then he just lands and runs out. I was like, nice.
I just got the second legendary to do that, like reduce 50% fall damage, and I just love just like Captain America just jumping. You're probably scaring everybody bejesus. It's like, no, I'm good now. Now, I would say maybe something else, like I sort of touched on it before, is just the acts of kindness, I guess. Mm-hmm. Just the number of stories that people have of just people like, oh, new person comes out of the vault. High-level player comes in power armor, drops like a shit ton of goodies, and then sort of, and then goes off in the sunset. And that happens again and again. Like genuinely, I was kind of petrified of just so many tools that are out there for people to ruin each other's days, and instead, in general, the community is using them for good. So, good on you guys.
I'll echo that. I've never seen anything like this in my 20 years, how friendly the community is in a game't can be so unfriendly to one another. So,
and it's Fallout. It's not Field of, whatever, Gardenscapes, whatever game. It's like they should be killing each other, and they're being really nice.
I think some small decisions we've made had big ramifications, like plans. We made it so you can't sell it to vendors, and at first internally people were like, I just want to sell them. But now every time I see a player, they're like, here's my extra plans, and we trade plans, and everyone goes, heart.
I actually wonder about the community, because I wrote a lot of the Vault lore and stuff like that in Vault 76 itself, and I was subtly trying to say, please, for the love of God, the overseer's asking you to be nice to each other. Please. Because otherwise, it's going to be a horror show, right?
It was those words, actually. It was that good.
But it was like, there were times where, like, the security chief was just saying, oh my God, when we open these doors, what the heck is going to be happening? And lo and behold, people were nice.
Besides nukes.
The one that surprises me is when you see a camp. There was a camp that went up where whoever had built it in one of the pylons of the big monorail.
Oh, yeah.
And they had used it. So when people find really creative ways to build their camp, that's where it does take us a beat to be like, how do they do that? And it also shows that we are doing over time more and more easing up the restrictions on how you build. Because people have their character, but they put a lot of thought and feel a lot of ownership in the camp that they build. So the more we're doing more and more there, the decorating mode is great. The way it cleans up now if you load your camp looks really, really great. But those things are surprising. Still every week someone builds a camp that like can't believe they built.
I know there's a
Giant Mothman.
subreddit specific. Oh, that giant Mothman one? That
Yeah,
one was my favorite. I've seen more recently. There's like a whole subreddit devoted to like all the different camp builds. It's very
Photo
interesting.
mode has been, and that was, for those of you who've like followed our studio, we do a game jam every project, kind of in the middle. We let everybody in the studio do whatever they want for a week, but you have to put it in the game. So it's not like do whatever you want, but do something and put it in one of the games we're making at the time. And photo mode was actually a game jam that a group of people did for a week. They weren't totally done, but probably one of the best game jams we've had where that became a really full, fleshed out feature in the main game that has made it like, if you go on Twitter or whatever, that's where, that's what you see. It's pretty incredible what people take photo-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I've even seen a few campsites in the game too where I got confused and thought it was something we put into the game.
Yeah, same
Where
here.
like walking to the camp, you're like, wait, when did we put this in here?
There was one time where that exact same thing happened, and I was angry. I'm like, wait, who put this in here? Because it was supposed to go through me. Like, and then there's this thing over here. It totally disrupts the flow, and then I'm like, oh, wait a second. And it was like, all right, never mind.
Well done.
I feel like it's always like immediately jarring, and like you're walking through and you see something and it doesn't look like it's exactly quite right, like it shouldn't actually be there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, it's a player camp.
so
This completely
good.
throws me off.
It really is. Yeah, and yeah, there's just been there's some pretty amazing ones out there. So especially some like you were saying where people have chosen to build, which I think is kind of one of the interesting things about the game because there's so many places in the game where you can build. Actually, can you talk a little bit about getting to that point? Like, because that's very difficult to put into a game, like being able to build almost anywhere.
First, I wanted to back it up and say it is such a cool feature that we do want to try to find ways to make it more pervasive. It's because right now we do have a limit of 24 people or ish. We go over that sometimes, but 24-ish players on a server, you can only really bump into then 24 camps. But I would love to find ways that we can do things with camps, so you might find camps even if the people aren't online. But that's that's a wish list item. But I think camps are so cool. We're doing a disservice by not surfacing them better to the player base.
We've been talking a lot about this, where the theme of the game was the vault opens, go out and rebuild, and there are reasons we couldn't have everybody just go nuts, mostly performance. But to Chris's point, we love the camps, and the more that we can make those, you feel the impact of other players, even if they aren't there at that moment. Because most time you come across a camp, the person is not there anyway.
Right.
So those are things that we're talking about how to do that, where those things that people have built are some of the best stuff, and figuring out how we're going to do that.
Yeah, there's lots of engineering challenges.
Going back to your question, that's not how the game originally was. Actually, we were worried that people couldn't build everywhere, so the workshops that you see on the map were the original. You could only build there originally, and so they were going to be points of conflict, which they are.
Yeah,
and then as the project went on, it's like, well, I really just want to build wherever I want. And we messed with chopping down trees, and that caused problems. And X, Y, whatever you imagine, we tried it. But then getting to the point where everyone can build wherever they want was a big thing. We still keep them separate, where you can't build right on top of each other. And again, that is a performance thing. Where if we let everybody build on top of each other, this is, again, we let QA, like, how much can you abuse this? And they go, watch. So they're like, okay, what if we spread them apart? Okay, now it's working well. But as we optimize and do more things, we want to get more players, let you build more and more and more. That's why we've been upping stash space, how much you can build. Dealing with camp budgets as well is a thing where turrets are more expensive for us than regular things you build. So separating those. We have a number of other ideas so that players can really do more and more and more with the camp system.
That's really good.
We've talked a lot about what community things you've seen that you've enjoyed. Have you had any experiences yourselves with playing yourself that you've enjoyed that the game has provided you?
Plenty. I kick it some other people first, but I generally run around. I'm a giant man in the game in the red rocket suit, in the Nuka Girl suit, and I greet all the people who come out of the vault and leave them water and stuff. But no one knows it's me, so it's.
They do now.
How they look for you. How are you, Ferret?
I've actually been going off. I'm a melee build, and so I finally figured out a way to down Scorch Beasts. And I'm just like going through trying to make the wasteland safe from those damn Scorch Beasts. So like I sort of enforce them down with my shotgun, just mow them down, and then watch people like around me like, what did you just do? It's just like, I made your life better. That's what I did, and got a lot of XP.
So I like to run around in like full combat armor, looking serious. And when I find someone, I wait until they like turn around to a vendor or something. And then I put on like a Santa suit and one of the Fashnak masks. And then they turn around, and then I just back slowly away into the woods.
That makes sense now, because one of the internal play tests, you scared the hell out of me. I was playing, I turned around, you were just like creeping by, and you were wanted. And I was like, no!
Yeah, are you willing to take a chance?
Now we all know why we have nightmares.
Yeah.
That's true. You're welcome.
I'm more of a solo guy, so I don't like doing, I don't know. Maybe I'm antisocial in these games now. Been working on them for so long. So I just like doing the quests. I like exploring POIs and just doing the loop to try to get better items. And then of course checking out all the new content that we're working on before all you guys get to, because that's a lot of fun.
That's really cool. All right. Yeah, I think we?
Yeah, we're about out of questions.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys would like to go over before we wrap?
Let's see. First, I want to thank everybody again for sticking with us on this. This has been quite a journey for us. We know it's a journey for our players, but seeing how amazing the community has been through that and in the game, it has been actually an incredible, incredible experience for all of us. We can't thank you enough how much you've given to the game, and we will do everything we can to reward that this year, next year, and the coming years. We have big things planned. So, thank all of you.
Really good.
All right. Well,
go ahead.
no, you go.
Oh, no. I was just saying if anybody else had anything else they also wanted to.
I would just want to say that like I can't wait for you to see the things I can't talk about. Because you'll hopefully knock your socks off when we can talk about it.
We're good.
Yeah, and we have a great opportunity with this game because we have this whole map and we can just keep iterating on it and adding cool stuff. So if there was ever a part of the game you're like, oh, I don't know, that's kind of boring, we can make it better. So we probably will.
I think the important thing for me is making sure we keep giving players tools to make the content that they want to play themselves. Whether that's the kind of things that we have now, or maybe like private servers in the future. Those are the kind of things that are important to me. Is just making sure that the players have the tools to create content that appeals to them. It's like the mods that we see in Skyrim and Fallout. I think those are things that the Bethesda community really likes, and I want to be able to deliver that to them someday.
Definitely.
So.
This guy.
He's better.
At least we pleased one guy.
Yeah, one person likes mods. Okay.
Plus one.
All right.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on this stream and Boston.
Yeah.
Wild Appalachia, it's available now, well, some parts of it, as it will be releasing over the next couple months. Thank you, everyone.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.